Hi, this is Brandon Brown. This is my week 2 lightning talk for BA214 Business Communication. I'm doing the Think Fast, Talk Smart podcast, probably like most of us are. And the episode that I chose to do is called Communicating Core Values. We're interviewing a pair of gentlemen by the name of Neil Malhotra and Ken Schatz, who wrote a book named Leading with Values: Strategies for Making Ethical Decisions in Business Life. The reason I chose this episode is that I have found personally in my own life that, in my own business dealings, that core values make a big difference in terms of people's ability to effectively communicate without regular miscommunications. It also makes a big difference just in terms of people's ability to enjoy working with each other. You don't need to agree with everybody that you work with in order to get along with them, but understanding their core values goes a long ways toward helping people to get along. One of the first things that the authors talk about in this interview is how business and society, how the roles of business and society have changed over the last generation. Start out with Ken Schatz, who says that those roles have changed dramatically in the last 30 years. And one of the main things that has changed is that once upon a time, almost all business communication was geared exclusively toward shareholder value. And now we think more in terms of stakeholder value, which is a much broader group. And anytime you have a broader group of people, you can also expect to have a broader, more diverse set of core values. Managing that diversity of core values within an organization is absolutely crucial to the success of an organization. And that's one of the main things, one of the main points of the book that these authors are discussing, is the ability to manage that diversity. And they say that starting out, one of the things you need to do is identify core values. You need to identify companies' core values. You need to identify people's core values. In terms of the company core values, avoid mission statements and things like that. They have a tendency to be a lot of fluff that are sort of they basically represent a facade that was put out there by just a very small group of individuals within the organization. It's better to facilitate an environment where employees all feel comfortable sharing their core values with each other without fear of judgment or negative consequences for doing so. It keeps people on the same page. It really, really helps to make an organization move along more smoothly. External influences are really the main reason that people study ethics. And what we're getting at here is that people don't wake up in the morning and say, I want to be a bad guy today. That's not really how it works. Most of the time when you read in the newspaper that somebody got in really big trouble for some unethical behavior, maybe like, say, embezzlement, one of the really bad ones, they weren't planning on it. They were generally good people. They raise kids. They teach their kids to be good people, or at least they try. They never thought of themselves as a thief. They never wanted to do that. Some external influence put them in a situation where they justified. We need to avoid these justifications. And so the authors remind us that everything, when it comes to ethics, comes down to personal choice. You always, every time, have the ability to make a choice. Sometimes making the right choice ends up causing problems for you, but there are a lot of anecdotes about that in other places. I won't go into it. This really does cover a lot of the main points of this interview. I'd like to brush real quickly over the importance of having a strategy for communication. Having a strategy for communication gives you an opportunity to think ahead of time about what your audience is thinking, where they're coming from, what their core values might be. And this goes a long way toward crafting your communications in a way that gets your message across without causing any additional problems. Thank you very much for watching and listening. I hope you have an excellent day.